Have you ever noticed that the more you think, the heavier life feels? That the moments when your mind goes quiet are rare, and when they do arrive, they're often filled not with peace, but with a deep, aching sadness you can't quite explain. You think about life, about people, about meaning, about existence itself, and instead of clarity, you're left with a quiet exhaustion that settles deep inside your chest. It's as if understanding more doesn't make things lighter. It makes them heavier. And you begin to wonder why those who see them most often seem to suffer the deepest. Why the minds that question everything carry a sadness others never seem to touch. If this feels familiar, you're not alone. Many deep thinkers live with a constant sense of unease, a feeling of being deeply connected to the world, yet strangely isolated within it. This isn't simply overthinking, it's a way of being. A mind wired to look beneath the surface, to question what others accept, to notice what most people overlook. Deep thinking isn't a habit you picked up. It's an orientation toward reality itself. And while it allows you to perceive meaning, patterns, and truths others miss, it also exposes you to a side of life many never have to face. Imagine having senses that are unusually sharp. You hear sounds others tune out. You see details others overlook. You feel shifts in the environment before anyone else notices. That sensitivity can make beauty breathtaking, but it also makes discomfort unavoidable. This is what it's like to be a deep thinker. Your awareness is so refined that you sense disharmony where others feel calm. You notice emotional undercurrents, quiet suffering, contradictions, and unresolved tension everywhere you go. You don't search for these things. They present themselves automatically. One of the greatest sources of pain for deep thinkers is their inability to ignore imperfection. Where others see stability, you see fragility. Where others see progress, you see imbalance. You notice injustice beneath success, hypocrisy beneath confidence, and vulnerability beneath authority. When someone speaks carelessly, you don't just hear words, you hear the assumptions behind them. The emotional consequences they carry, the invisible harm they may cause. This constant awareness weighs heavily on you. It makes joy feel fragile and peace feel temporary. As it's something painful is always waiting just outside the frame. Alongside this awareness comes an intense capacity for empathy. Deep thinkers don't just understand suffering, they feel it. The pain of others doesn't remain abstract. It becomes personal. News stories feel intimate. A stranger's sadness lingers long after the moment has passed. You absorb emotional atmospheres without trying to. Your heart remains open even when it hurts to keep it that way. And because you see the connections between actions and consequences, individual pain and collective systems, you often feel powerless to fix what you deeply understand. That helplessness can become crushing. Then there is the mind itself. Always active. Always searching. Always analyzing. Thoughts don't stop when the world goes quiet. They multiply, past conversations, replay future scenarios, unfold. Abstract questions loop endlessly. Your mind becomes a place without silence. This isn't curiosity's compulsion. And over time, it drains you. Rest becomes difficult. Sleep becomes shallow. Mental fatigue becomes a constant companion. The same mind that gives you insight also traps you in perpetual motion. These inner complexity often creates distance between you and others. In a world that values speed, simplicity, and surface-level connection, depth feels misplaced. Small talk feels empty. Meaningful conversations feel rare. You crave authenticity, but often feel misunderstood or dismissed as too intense, too sensitive, or too serious. This creates loneliness not because you're alone, but because you feel unseen. You learn to hide parts of yourself to belong, and that quiet self-betrayal adds another layer of pain. Perhaps the deepest struggle of all is existential. Deep thinkers don't avoid life's hardest questions. They face them, head and mortality, meaning, free will, absurdity, the vastness of time, the insignificance of individual lives against infinity. These reflections aren't optional, they arise naturally. And while they expand awareness, they rarely offer comfort. Instead, they strip away illusions. They expose how fragile, temporary, and uncertain everything truly is. The more you learn, the heavier knowledge becomes. Complexity replaces simplicity. Every solution reveals new problems. Every answer opens more questions. Certainty dissolves. Action becomes difficult when every choice carries consequences you can already foresee. You hesitate not from fear, but from understanding too much. And with that understanding comes an acute awareness of human limitation, yours included. So does this mean deep thinkers are doomed to suffer? Not necessarily, but their path requires acceptance rather than escape. The pain isn't meaningless. It sharpens perception, deepens empathy, and fuels wisdom. Their suffering becomes the ground from which insight grows. Relief doesn't come from distraction, but from embracing depth itself. From finding others who understand even if they are few, from cultivating silence, not to escape thought, but to integrate it. From learning to be alone without feeling abandoned, and from expressing what lives inside through words, art, ideas, or service, transforming inner weight into something that gives meaning to others. The suffering of deep thinkers isn't a flaw. It's evidence of their openness, their refusal to look away, their willingness to feel. It's a cost to seeing clearly. And while that cost is heavy, it's also what makes them capable of rare compassion, profound insight, and a depth of presence that quietly changes the world. To think deeply is to feel deeply. And to feel deeply is to live fully even when it hurts. If any of this resonated with you, let us know in the comments. We read every single one. Thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing for more videos about the inner world we all share. See you in the next one.